Hi, all. This is Dr. Sage Breslin, and this is Wisdom Wednesdays, and this is video number 78. So I wanted to touch on something that really got stirred up for me over the last few weeks. Last week, I was out sick for the first time since I had COVID in August. And then before that, since my transplant. And frankly, I think I was sicker last week than even when I had COVID. So I think it left me feeling vulnerable and really maybe even overly sensitive than I already am. But it gave me a lot of time in bed and a lot of time sleeping and a lot of time dreaming. And it was interesting how my being went to so many different places as I was trying to recover. And it kept returning to how many sessions I've had with clients. And in 32 years, I've had, so many clients with trauma histories. I couldn't count even if I wanted to. I'd make myself crazy trying to count. And I've heard so many tragic stories. I have learned not to say, oh, I've heard it all, because then somebody comes in with a story that just beats it all. And I don't want to call that in. So I became aware last week as I was, going back and forth in between my dream state and my waking state of how many times I've heard these stories and been sitting and holding space for clients and have them say the same thing. They tell the whole story. And at the end of the story, they ask me, how did I survive? And oftentimes that would quickly get changed to, why did I survive? And over the years, my answer has become very simple. Over the years, I've learned to just say, because you're that special. I'll let that sink in a moment. You are that special. What I know to be true is that, it is because I am an old soul that I survived my trauma history. I didn't become an old soul because I had this trauma history. There are people who endure horrific traumas, and the reason they survive is because they're here for a reason. They're here to do something. They're here because God placed them here and said, go and be of service. They're here because they are that meaningful to the world and how it runs. Sometimes I get lucky and my clients will smile back at me and they'll feel this warmth in their heart. But most of the time, I'm met with the deadpan stare or the confused stare or the look of disbelief or even just, a look from the beyond. And I realized because they may have grown up in a place or an environment or with perpetrators who treated them like crap. And actually, let me change that, who treated them as if they were crap. And that is the truth that they take on, especially if they have to live in the perpetrator's midst. They take on this false truth, this convenient lie that they don't deserve better treatment, that they couldn't possibly be that special. But in fact, they're told, you're not special. You're the Antichrist is special. You are crap. And when they reach this point in therapy, when they are in the sacred space of recovery, and they are faced with this possibility that they are special, that they were meant to be here and to do great things and to simply be in order to uplift others. It can be a real journey. That can really drum up a lot of stuff for them. It can be met with a lot of resistance. So my wisdom for you today is to take a look at, yourself and your relationship with yourself. Do you know who you are? Do you treat yourself well? Do you talk to yourself in a way that you would talk to a loved one or somebody you care a lot about, or your child? And if you don't, perhaps it's time that you learned. Treat yourself as if you are special, because if you're here and you've been through a lot, it's because you're meant to be here. It's because you are that special. This is Wisdom Wednesdays, and Dr. Sage Breslin. Please have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are.